where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more, and even NFL preseason. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Chief Concerns postgame show on Bleacher Report. I'm Marcus Dash here with Teja Dash. Legendary Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn will not be joining us today. But big game, finally in the win column, a big time win. Obviously it wasn't without some hiccups and some hitches on the way there to this win, but nonetheless, come out 17-9 win against a team that a lot of people are saying could be the team to come out of the AFC or maybe vie for the AFC spot in the Super Bowl this year. But so obviously defense looked phenomenal. I know last week a lot of people talked about the defense looking great against Detroit without Chris Jones, only allowing them to score 14 points. Detroit scored 31 today against Seattle. Defense scored 14 points today or last week against us. But then Chris Jones comes in, obviously does his thing, shows why he's worth all the money that he wants. And I think if he plays like this all throughout the season, I think he's making a big case to stick around in Kansas City for as long as he wants to, or however long he wants to stick around. But so yeah, let's begin with the good from this game. Obviously, we can point out a lot of bad. Obviously, the show's Chief Concerns. We can talk about a lot of concerns. But the big thing is defense. And it looks like I know last week we talked about who's probably more impactful to the team, Chris Jones or Travis Kelce. Everyone said, well, obviously Travis Kelce is because the offense looked awful this week and the defense looked great without Chris Jones. Well, this week Kelce was back. Offense looked like it still needs some fine tuning. Chris Jones comes in and adds to what the defense already looked like last week. They only allowed 14 points last week. Chris Jones comes in. They wreaked havoc. And my takeaway is, and this is the takeaway we always have every year with the Chiefs, is as long as the defense can look good, this team's going to the AFC Championship game regardless. But right now, it looks like the defense is the real deal of this team, and the offense is just kind of fluttering. But if the offense, and it will find its sweet spot and get clicked, I think they'll be pretty good this year because the defense looks like it's the best it's ever been in the Patrick Mahomes era. What are your thoughts on the defense? What are your thoughts on the way Chris Jones looked and the way the kind of defense is playing through first two games of the season?
Yeah, it's almost like it's flip-flop now. Now it's like if the offense just doesn't turn the ball over, it almost sounds like the old Alex Smith days. Let the defense play really good. They're the strength of our team. And then let just the offense not turn the ball over, have a competent, a running clock, and then we'll win the game if we game manage, right? But now we have Mahomes doing that, which is even better. The defense was outstanding. I'd say Chris Jones was definitely missed. They didn't play bad last week by any means. They didn't play bad. So we've only allowed 2 touchdowns all season, 2 games, right?
Yeah. So
they have not been playing bad at all. That's 10 pass defended, and I think 7 sacks in 2 games.
Yep.
I mean, our line looked great. We're still missing Omenihu. Our linebackers were all over the field. Tranquil was a beast. Bolton was a beast. Snead looked like he needed that one preseason game, which was week 1, and now he's back to where he was. He looked awesome. The defense looked outstanding against a really good offense, by the way. So this isn't just an up-and-coming team. Jacksonville technically is ahead of where Detroit was when we, coming into the year. They're already a playoff team ascending to be possibly higher than Detroit. Detroit's trying to make it in and make a name for themselves. So to stop Jacksonville and look that way was incredible. I mean, if you compare Lawrence's game 1 stats to game 2, it's night and day, right? He went from 75 completion percentage to 53 against us. 2 touchdowns to 0. He had a pick last week. He didn't have a pick against us. A rating of almost 69. He was sacked double the amount of times, and I think that's where it comes from, the pressure, man. You can get pressure on any quarterback, you make him look human.
Yeah. And not to mention the defenses looked this good against 2 high-caliber offenses. I mean, people forget Detroit, that's a top 5 scoring last year, top 5 in yards last year, and then Jacksonville, towards the end of the second half of the season, they're one of the best offenses in the league. And then we come out and, they don't score a touchdown against us. But then Zay Jones had 2 chances at it, just couldn't get the second foot down. But then you talk about what's that?
And Ridley at the end.
And really, yeah, that was a rough one. But then you look at what we're playing Chicago next week. I mean, a lot of people thought we were going to go. There were some experts out there who thought we were going to go 0-2. Once we lost Detroit, like, oh yeah, they're not beating Jacksonville. But anyway, you got Chicago next week, so that should be a get right game for the offense. I think defense should come out based on the way Justin Fields in Chicago's looking right now. That we might break the all-time sack record in that game based on the way things are going. But yeah, couldn't agree more. L'Jarius Sneed looked like back to old L'Jarius Sneed, which was it was night and day compared to the way he played last week against Detroit. So obviously that was the defense looking phenomenal. I don't know if there's any other guys you want to talk about. Karlaftis looking like a beast so far through the first 2 games.
You did great. That bend on that rush was awesome. Jones looked like he came to camp. I mean, the defense looked really, really good. They looked really on it.
Yeah, Spags is while the offense. We're going to talk about the coaching offensively, but like Spags has his guys going. He has his guys humming right now, and like
he does.
But we're 1-1 because of Spags. Almost 2-0 because of Spags so far.
They're young, they're locked in, they're confident, and they're coached really well, and they're just executing exactly how he wants them to, and he's calling good games.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's really making use of everybody. Mike Dana, Karlaftis, even King Felix, the rookie. A lot of people thought he was going to be impactful. So far, he's making a big impact with this defense. I will say that the Brian Cook takedown, I hope he's well. But that, I don't know how they didn't call it offensive pass interference on that. I mean, Zay Jones jumped on his back and drove him into the ground. I don't know how they didn't call anything on that.
Hey, Zay Jones made a good play on the ball. I'll give him that.
Did he? I mean,
the attempt, he rode his back. I wish Watson would have tried to attack the ball the way he attacked the ball on that long pass.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Justin Watson shouldn't be our leading receiver, and he shouldn't be getting as many targets as he is. But we're gonna get into the offensive side of things right now. So obviously, play calling hasn't looked. I mean, we've been out of sorts, out of rhythm. Last week, everyone chalked it up to Kelce's not there. Once he comes back, offense is gonna be right back to what it was. No, there's no rhythm to it. There's no flow. First half, Pacheco had 1 carry. It was on the first play, too. 1 carry from Pacheco.
I know.
And what happened second half? We actually started running the ball with him. I think we finished with 12 carries from Pacheco. So we had 11 second half carries. What happens? The offense actually looked decent. We were actually moving the ball. So I don't understand. So, like, my question is, a lot of people out here were talking about something going back to last year, the whole EB thing. And I see in the chat people were talking about bringing back EB. But last year, like when EB would do his thing, it would be like, and we had bad games, people would blame it on EB. We need to get rid of EB. We need to get rid of EB. We have good games. It's Andy calling the plays. This week, I mean, this year, and now the conversation has changed. It's no longer EB. It's a Nagy thing. It's like, oh man, Nagy sucks. Why that's why he got fired in Chicago. It looks like the Bears offense. And then we're playing the EB game now on Nagy, which is kind of unfair because like if it's Andy calling plays or is it not Andy calling plays? Because you can't have it one or the other. When we look good, it's Andy. When we look bad, it's one of the OCs. It's kind of a cop out. But let's talk about the just like the offense as a whole. And we talk play calling. Who do you think is to blame for the play calling? If we're talking about Andy Reid and Matt Nagy right now, because a lot of people are giving Nagy the crap for this. They're having him down the sword of how bad the offense looks right now.
I mean, no matter who the coordinator is, when you have a coach with the reputation of Andy Reid, it's gonna have to be really blatant. Andy's gonna have to like announce the play out loud to say he called it to get blamed for a lot of that stuff. When we had bad plays, EB got blamed. When we have good plays, most of the time Andy got the blame, the positive blame for it. So I don't. it's hard to get into that because I just don't know who's the one actually making the calls. I do know that aside from play calling, I think some of it has to again fall on Patrick. I think he has to make better decisions out there. I think again that deep ball to Watson was just a stupid throw, and yeah, granted Watson could have came back for it a little more, or tried jumping and fighting for it, but you shouldn't be throwing Watson balls like he's Randy Moss. Like that's just not, you know. And it's something we knew going into the year because, you know, I think last year had a record low of deep balls thrown. Teams are taking it away. They're making you drive down the field on them. They have confidence in their defense. They think, okay, we want to see you pull on a long drive and score a touchdown here without going deep. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to get through the drive, be efficient, not get penalties, which 12 for 94 is not going to happen. I mean, that's a huge part of it too. Whenever we started to get a little momentum and get into a rhythm, we had a penalty call on us a lot. Even fumbles that we got back. Like, yeah, it's not a turnover, but that one Tony fumble where he lost like 5 to 6 yards, that stuff hurts, dude. That's a gut punch. That's a loss of down and a penalty pretty much. So that stuff really hurts. As far as play calling, my biggest specific issue was just no carries in the first half. Mahomes led our team in carries in the first half. That just shouldn't be happening. If Pacheco has torn up Jacksonville since he's been playing him. He's averaging 6.1 a carry off 44 carries in 3 games against them. So he's ripped them up, dude. And I've never been the biggest Pacheco believer, but he roasts them. When you have a clear advantage, I'm just a huge proponent of exploiting the edge you have against a team. And if our run game works, if Pacheco gets going against Jacksonville, keep giving him the ball. Yeah, I know Andy wanted to come in and get the young receivers involved. I know he wanted to do that. And you can do that. There's a balance to all that, right? You can do that while playing off the run and then play off the pass. Have them work together. You don't have to just go so deep into one and just totally lose sight of a running offense.
Yeah, I think Pacheco, and I like first drive, 3 and out. Second drive, he came out and actually made it a point to get Kadarius Toney the ball. Now, after that drive, there was kind of like a lull where we like really weren't doing crap at all. And it was like, what are we doing? We're not. It's like random, like Mahomes is chucking, stepping back to chucking bombs like Justin Watson, or like MVS again. The guy is making a lot of money and he just continues to disappear. It's like every other game, he just like not there. Even last week, 2 targets. You shouldn't be getting a guy who's making $13 million a year should not be having 2 targets, okay, and coming away a game without a catch.
Yep,
it's rough. And you know, and I like the young guys. We have Sky Moore stepped up today. Kadarius Toney looked good, and when he was targeted, even got a little carry at the end of the game too. But yeah, I just don't understand. And I get it's always been Andy Reid's MO, not being able to not run the ball enough, or just going away from it, just going to being a pass happy guy. But like 1 carry at halftime, and I'm glad we figured it out. I'm glad we won the game. But like, I mean, it shouldn't take like to go all or nothing. Like second half, you give them the ball 11 times, but like 1 carry in the first half, and on the first play, what were they seeing? Is just go away from it altogether. It's just very.
I don't know, man. It's brutal. I don't understand it. It was. I mean, you saw how like juiced up Pacheco was at the end too, and just showed you like, give me the friggin' ball. That's what I got from him stomping around the way he was. It was like about time, dude. Give me like 3 carries in a row for the first time all game. Like, where's this been?
Yeah, it's interesting. But
by the way, MVS on one of those on that catch did his best D-Rob impression of going backwards.
Yeah, I mean that was what. Yeah, someone made a comment on Twitter. It was like number. I guess the number 11 thing because like
as if I didn't miss that at all. I mean,
I know. So one of the stories, obviously, play calling big story, but one of the other stories of the game was obviously right tackle. After Jawaan Taylor is probably the most talked about right tackle in NFL history on social media last week, with his false starts and his alignment and all that stuff. And NFL was going to crack down on alignment this week. Seems like they made a point of emphasis to go at Jawaan Taylor. I know he had 2 holding calls in the game, but you know the false start, and then also legal procedure. His alignment, and then they pull him out in the middle of a drive. I think was it Mitchell Schwartz went on Twitter and said he's never seen anything like that before, where in mid game they just pull a guy out. He went back in, obviously finished the game at right tackle, but what do we make of this situation with Jawaan Taylor? Are we like, is he just going to be the most expensive? I mean, is there a chance? Can we see a world where Prince is our starting right tackle and Jawaan Taylor becomes the most expensive right tackle in NFL history? I mean, is there a world where you could see that down the road if this continues?
So I did a little background, right? Jawaan Taylor was called for 3 false starts in 2021 and 3 false starts and 0 illegal formations last year. He's already met or surpassed all of those this season in 2 games. So I'm all for calling fair penalties. I know a lot of people said online all the penalties that were called on him were all reasonable. They were all fair. They were correct calls. That's cool. But you can all, I mean, like, I have the Sunday ticket. It's great. You get the 4 games on one TV. I didn't see egregious calls on false starts at all. I certainly didn't see it in the Lane Johnson Eagles game on Thursday. So if you're going to make it a point of emphasis, that means across the league, not the guy that you missed calls on opening night. I think that's wrong.
They were the verbiage where the NFL came out, it wasn't false starts, it was alignment. They were going to be cracking down on alignment. They were not cracking down on false starts. They're cracking down on alignment. So the illegal procedure type stuff.
But Doug Peterson before our game said that he thinks the NFL has been notified specifically about Jawaan Taylor. So, I mean, it was, I don't know what was a bigger deal off the opening night game, the false starts or the, illegal formation. They were both being talked about like crazy after that Lions game. But I don't see how you're not called for it once last year and all of a sudden you're called for it now, but I get it. I think it's way too early to bench him. I think that's ridiculous. He has a lot more coaching. He needs a lot more coaching for someone you signed to such a crazy deal. You usually don't expect a guy like that to get that kind of money and then come in and after week 2, after being benched in mid-series saying, oh, our guys will get him right. But that's not ideal. That's those guys are expected to come in and mentor how other guys play the position better. And if you think back, we wanted this guy to be our left tackle at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. I'm not going to start going to Smith because he's got his own problems too. But my goodness, that would have been a disaster. I do think, however, going back to something you said earlier and this, I think if Chris Jones wants money, we need to bill MBS and Jawaan Taylor for next year's salary. That's what we need to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think someone in the chat has said, what's his name? Jawaan Taylor needs to take a pay cut. Yeah, they need to do some kind of restructuring or some sort because this kind of play, and if the NFL is going to crack down on this stuff, then and these are legitimate penalties, then yeah, I think someone needs to take a pay cut here because or restructure the money somehow because. If you're just looking at play, obviously we've said this I've been one of the big proponents of keeping Chris Jones around, but he deserves his money and coming out in the way he played. And I don't know, it's because he's got a chip on his shoulder and he heard all the noise everyone was talking about last few weeks of him holding out. Chris Jones played like a man possessed today. He usually plays like that, but I think it's an added thing. But when we're talking about wanting to save money, when you look at Jawaan Taylor's play, when you look at MVS's play and their pay, how much they're getting paid, it's like, I thought we cared about saving all our pennies to pay the guys that we need to keep in here. And Chris Jones is definitely that. And Jawaan Taylor, the money he's making, and a lot of people were appalled by the contract he got. And this is the guy's being benched in the middle of a game. Obviously, it wasn't for the whole game. And I'm sure when Andy has his presser, I'm sure it's going to be talking about, oh yeah, he had a little stinger. We had to take him out for a second. It's going to be some BS like that. It wasn't, oh yeah, we wanted to bench him just to make things clear to him. No, you got benched in the middle of a game and you have former NFL tackles going online saying they've never seen anything like that before. That's a big deal. It's a giant red flag. I know we had Prince last year. Prince got some playing time last year. He actually looked pretty good in one of the games he came in. I think it was I want to say it was the Bengals game last year. He came in, looked pretty solid. I thought when we signed Jawaan Taylor, I thought we were going to keep him. I thought because at first he was going to go to left tackle and we were going to end up having Prince or one of the other guys, Kennard, compete for the right tackle spot, or Niang.
Yeah.
But then we ended up signing Donovan Smith, keeping Jawaan Taylor at right tackle. But Prince is a guy who was dominant at Auburn. I mean, he's a solid tackle, and I'm interested. He's obviously a hard worker. I'm interested to see what happens with Jawaan Taylor. If he continues to do this, these penalties, the holding, the false starts, all this stuff, the legal procedures. we might see a world where Prince, I can't pronounce his last name, the Prince is going to be starting a right tackle for us.
I mean, I'm sure at some point someone's going to go to Taylor and say, he's not as good as you are, but at least we don't go backwards when he's in the game. Like, I don't care how good of a blocker you are. If you never get a chance to even get to the blocking part of it, then who cares? Because between your legal formations and false starts, legal procedure and false starts, we're going backwards every time you're in there. We just can't get a playoff, dude. You have to come off,
Consistent drive killers, man. Like that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Consistent.
We had a lot
killers.
of those today. We had a lot of drive killers today.
Consistently.
Yeah. It seemed like we had more turnovers because of that. Actually, I was like, wait, we had 2 fumbles lost and a pick, right? That was it.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like a lot more. I know we had a lot of fumbles that we recovered, but yeah.
Yeah, the Watson fumble, the Richie James fumble, Mahomes pick. I can't remember anything else.
Yeah, that was it. We had a couple, I think, other fumbles, but we got them back.
Yeah. So the question is, we all thought that once Travis Kelce came back, this is one thing that everyone's talking about right now. The offense, obviously, we've kind of mentioned it, but like Kelce's back. Obviously, Kelce's going to take a while for Kelce, maybe a few weeks to become normal Kelce. I mean, it's kind of amazing. The guy scores a touchdown, but like, yeah, we're saying he's not normal yet. He's not like back to his normal self. And yeah, 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties from Kelce too. He had a little chip on his shoulder, and there was multiple times during the training camp where he got into fights with spats with guys in our own team. It's coming out against the old team as he gets older. He's getting more a little feisty as he gets older. But are you concerned about the offense long term? Because week 1 we chalked it up to Kelce not being there. Week 2 and obviously a lot of drops. Week 2, offense doesn't look well. Kelce's back. There weren't that many drops today. Just a lot of 3 and outs. A lot of the offense just not looking good.
Drive killers.
And a lot of drive killers. Yeah, but like that kind of, and also once the second half we started running the ball a little bit, actually had more of an old balance. We looked good. That was that ties the play calling aspect. But are you concerned about the offense as we go forward? Or do you think little by little, the younger guys will start to really get it? They'll click. Kelce will get back to his old Kelce ways. So once he's not dealing with this injury anymore, we actually maybe establish a running game now that we saw it worked. Are you concerned? Because a lot of people are concerned online. And I think once this offense gets together, because I think it will happen, I'm not concerned about it. Once this offense does get together, with the way that defense is looking, the sky's the limit for this team, because this could be the most dangerous Chiefs team we've had in a long time once the offense gets clicked together and synced up, because this defense is the real deal. Holyfield on the other side.
I'm not concerned. I know the classic line is, I'm not concerned. We have Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to say that, but Mahomes is like a machine. Like he adjusts so well to what's being thrown at him. And I feel like week 1 was really odd because we lost Kelce at such a late stage in preparation, pretty much like right before the last practice was done, right before the first game. I'm sure it threw off prep. It throws him off for sure, because that's his, safety valve. So I think it took him a little while to adjust to life without Kelce for 1 game. And then almost coming, because he adjusts to that, you come back in, you're kind of readjusting again, back to having okay, what are we doing? I'm not force feeding Tony anymore. I'm not force feeding Sky. Like now we just go back to a normal offense again. I feel like it took us to half to really settle in. And then the second half, we look really good. I want to see how we look against straight up bad defenses. I want to see how we look first half of next week. That will tell me a lot too. If we can use this to carry over and continue how we looked in the second half. But it's funny you say, oh, what do we do differently? We ran the ball a lot more. I mean, we had 7 rushes for first down. Jacksonville only had 1, right? And they had 3 first downs to penalty. We had 0. So it's like we didn't get that much help. We lost the penalty battle. We still overcame all that, had more yards per play. We looked really good at it sometimes in this game. We just looked really bad at other times. But I think if you took away those penalties, like half the penalties, some of those drive killers wouldn't be drive killers, and we probably would have scored 24 or 31 or 24 or 27, which is I thought we were going to be more around that number, the 27 number. So I'm not worried about the low scoring so far from us because the yards are there. I just feel like we need to get rid of some of these stupid penalties and just dumb football plays, really.
I agree. Last topic before we head out of here, special teams been a topic been a hot topic for the last 2 years. We thought we had our punt returner, but it's funny when we signed Richie James, when we signed Richie James in the offseason, Giants fans, and obviously you're always going to see that when we sign guys. I always like to look at the other team's fans, see if they're pissed off about the guy leaving or if they're happy about a guy leaving. Richie James is one of those guys where Giants fans were like, not that they didn't really care. They were actually like, good luck with his muff punts. You don't want him returning punts for you. And what happens? He fumbled a punt today. And looking at it, I mean, he's a return man. Like, that's what he's done his entire career with the 49ers. But when the Giants fans were like, yeah, good luck with that. You're gonna love that. Second game of the year. I mean, last week that punt coverage was awful. He couldn't do anything. He was fielding them beautifully, and he wanted to return all of them, even when the defense right his face. But like today, we saw what the Giants fans had warned us about. Are you worried about Richie James as our punt returner? Do you think we need to find another guy? Do you want to do the whole punt returner carousel like we did last year? What do you think?
I'd say I'm like 6.5 out of 10 worried. I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not like it's not code red for me. I don't like where it's headed. That was a stupid play. He almost had a fumble last week. I mean, yeah, he was down, but like, I don't want to be even close with my guy. You know what I mean? I want, and they like, as I said in the game, they were punting him balls so he and kicking him off so he could return them. They wanted him to return them because I think they feel like they know going into this, by the way, these special teams coaches, what his history is.
Oh yeah.
They know he's fumbled a million times. So they're going to keep punting him and kicking him the ball. They're going to make his ass return it. So we're going to see if he can hold on to the ball. A couple more of these and we're done. Look, they need to go to him and be like, Richie, you saw how much we just go look up Jawaan Taylor's contract and see what we just paid him. We yanked him mid-drive. Yeah. Okay. What do you think we're going to do to you if you lose our ball one more time?
Yeah. And offensively, he had a drop. Talking about drive coach, he had a drop, which I know Charles Davis was like, it's not an easiest catch. Dude, it was in the bread basket. I know you had to come back for it a little bit, but that was in the bread basket, bro. You need to catch that. I say, obviously, if he has another muff punt next game, then obviously we should be concerned. But like for right now, as long as you field them and like, don't run backwards, just, be solid. Don't muff anything. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I trust our offense so much that we don't really need to have a boost, Dante Hall back there. We just need to have a guy who fields the punts, doesn't muff them. I don't care. Fair catch every time. I don't care. Just don't muff it. Yeah. So we'll come back to that issue if it happens again. But I think for right now, let it go. But he has a history of it. That's the concerning part. It's not like he's never done it before. So it's scary. It's scary. But all right, well, guys, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to a Chief Concerns post-game rapid reaction show on Bleacher Report. For more, we'll be back tomorrow for a Monday grade report show with former Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. He's going to go into his breakdown of all the grades for the game today. It's called a Monday morning tight end show. And then Wednesday, we'll be back for a midweek of the preview of week 3 against the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a fun one. It should be a rout. And then we'll have our own show, Chief Concerns. You can find us on YouTube. Also the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. Guys, hope you guys enjoy the W. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the slate of games for tonight and 4 o'clock. See you guys next time.
Later, guys.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.